Hey folks, today we're going to fix up a G1 Insecticon Shrapnel. We've got three of them from the parts bin in varying states of disrepair. We'll call them A, B, and C, respectively, to keep them straight. And I'm hoping out of these three toys that I'll be able to get one survivor, a portmanteau, if you will. And looking at Shrapnel A, we're missing arms, obviously. There's also something strange going on with his pincers. The stickers seem to be misplaced. Maybe we can address that. But he does have his yellow legs on the back, so that's good to see. On Shrapnel B, I really like the paint. It's nice and shiny and clean. He's missing one arm, and it'll remain to be seen whether we can make use of that other arm. There is a variant we need to be conscious of. He's missing his pincers, of course, and a lot of his stickers. All right, let's move on to Shrapnel C. And this one looks pretty good. He's largely intact. He's got both pincers, both arms. I think I see a bad stress mark on one of the arms. We'll get a closer look at that in a moment. He's missing pretty much all of his stickers. The chrome looks good on the pincers, and then he's missing only one of those yellow legs on his back. So having done a quick pass among the three options that we have, let's go back and take a closer look at each one just to decide which is going to be the base spot that we're going to build up and which ones are going to donate which parts to that base spot. This is Shrapnel A. My intuition is that this will be the base spot. He's in really good shape. He's Takara stamped, which is the earlier release. So I like that. Something about that I like. And something about shrapnels that's a little different than other toys is there does seem to be a lot of intermixing of different mold variations across both stamps. For example, this one has this chest door with these like mold injection points. You see on both sides of the chest door, there's a high one and a low one. There are two. There's a variant where on both sides of that door, there's only a single one and it's in the middle. But I've seen that door variant show up on both Takara and Hasbro stamped shrapnels. So I don't think we're violating any moral code by mixing and matching those as long as they fit. There is one variant that I'll show you related to the arms that we do need to be conscious of because I don't want to have mismatched arms on the toy. This one I do like. It's got, aside from the good paint, decent stickers. It's got the two yellow legs on the back, with the wheels. I like that. Those are a little bit kind of flimsy and you can break them if you try to remove and replace them. One thing I really appreciate is that there's this horseshoe shaped cutout so you can fit a screwdriver. And if you work on cars and, other things like that, you probably have had the experience where you get into something and you see it was never designed with the intention of being able to be maintained. But if there is something in there that allows you to work on something a little more easily, you really appreciate it. This, I'm sure, was just a consequence of the order of operations to assemble him in the factory. But nevertheless, we get the benefit of it. These days, it's much easier to take them apart. We're also going to have to remove the stickers on the waist in all cases, because in order to separate the front and back half of the upper body, those stickers have to get out of the way. And now we're on to Shrapnel B. He's a Hasbro stamped example, and you can see the chest door, those little molding points that I was telling you about earlier, the dot that's in the center rather than the two dots, one high, one low. There's not much here that I think we'll be able to use. He's missing an arm. He's missing the two legs on the back. He's missing his pincers. What he does have is stickers. I really like the Decepticon sticker. He's got the stickers on his knees, those little pyramids, and the stickers on his waist are really good. We're going to have to remove them anyway to open up the toys that need to get opened up. So maybe we'll harvest these stickers and use them. And now we're on to Shrapnel C, and he's another Hasbro stamped shrapnel. But unlike Shrapnel B, this one does have the two plastic molding points on his door rather than the one in the middle. So that's what I mean by the variations, kind of being interchangeable across the different stamps. So I'm not too fussed about it. He also has two arms, which I appreciate, although one of them has a really bad stress mark. That's a separate project to try to address that. I'm not going to mess with it today, but I like the arm. And his pincers seem to be the best ones of the bunch. So maybe we'll harvest those. I think his face also has slightly brighter paint. So we might liberate him of his face. One interesting, strange thing about this Shrapnel C is that his legs seem to be attached incorrectly. They're on backwards. So his hip section is getting in the way of the legs as they collapse during transformation. That's because they're simply on backwards. So maybe it was assembled wrong at the factory, or maybe somebody tried to work on him at some point and just reattach the legs on the wrong sides. And now I want to show you a pretty noteworthy variant between Shrapnel C and Shrapnel B. Remember, these are both the Hasbro stamped versions, but Shrapnel C has this really prominent hump at the collar point where the axle of the wheel goes into the arm. Shrapnel B, on the other hand, has it flat. Okay. I'm not sure which one is the earlier version, but we might get a little bit of a clue from Bombshell. If you remember a video we did about Bombshell, we pointed out that the earlier version has a similar prominent hump around the axle where that connects, and the later version, that hump was reduced significantly, so it's much lower profile. We're going to use Shrapnel C's arms anyway, and at least by that loose logic, I'm going to just conclude that it's likely to be the earlier variant, but I'm not positive. If you know in the comments, just correct me, please. But either way, I wouldn't want to mix the two variants. Like we wouldn't want to take the right arm from Shrapnel B and the left arm from Shrapnel C. That would be weird. Do it if you have to, but in this case, we don't have to. So let's avoid that issue. So I think we've got a good game plan now looking at all three of the options. Shrapnel A is going to be the base bot. I'm gonna build that one up. We're gonna borrow the stickers from Shrapnel B, and from Shrapnel C, we'll take the pincers, the arms, and maybe the face once I get in there. And now it's time to remove some stickers. So as usual, you need some lighter fluid, the kind you put in a Zippo, not the kind you light charcoal with. They're different. And then I've got a small dish and a Q-tip to gently brush fluid onto the stickers. I can't submerge this, right, in lighter fluid because they're not disassembled just yet, so I don't want to do that. But this will work just fine. You'll just gently reapply and reapply. It's going to soften up the glue. And then I'll use my sharp edge, of my knife to get under the edge of one of the stickers and then continue to just gently apply fluid underneath the sticker, and they'll let go. It just takes some patience, a little bit of precision. Put on your reading glasses, and they'll come off. So these side stickers on the waist are coming off really nice and easy. You can kind of feel it, when the glue is let go, and they're not going to fight you. You don't see creases happening in the stickers, and it's actually a really satisfying feeling when it finally just releases. But you can't take for granted that it'll always be that easy. Some of the surfaces are a little bit trickier, some of the stickers are a little thinner. Um, but it looks like these ones on the sides are no problem. The ones on the knees are pretty easy too. These are coming off clean. Um, the ones on the pincers are a little tough. It's not a flat surface just because of the kind of texture and the molding of the pincer, and you're also dealing with chrome paint. So these are giving me a little more trouble, but they did come off. These are misplaced, right? And sometimes I find it charming the way kids will misapply stickers, put them in the wrong place, and I leave them alone because of that. In this case, I'm just in the mood to put them in the right spot. These are supposed to go on the shoulders. So let me show you the original sticker sheet as well as the instructions that tell you where they're supposed to go. So you see those kind of long blue stickers, and they're labeled right here on both the instructions and the sticker sheet. Those are supposed to go on the shoulders. So we're going to reapply them, and I think they'll look fine. As I pull them off, they are fighting me a little bit, so it's not the cleanest job I've ever done, but it's going to be good enough. And one last sticker I want to grab is this really nice Decepticon logo. I think that's going to look really good, and then we'll make sure to position it nice and centered in the chest. And once all these stickers are off, you put them on this sheet of parchment paper. I've shared that tip with you before. It'll keep the glue from sticking. And surprisingly, the glue on many of these stickers will be tacky, even though it's 40 something years old. It'll be tacky enough that you can reuse it. Now, some of them are going to be dried out, and you just give them a swipe with a school glue stick, and they'll be good as new. And with the stickers out of the way, now it's time to start disassembling. This is Shrapnel C. There are just 4 screws on the back that need to be removed. And thanks again to that designer who gave us room to fit a screwdriver. Saves us a little bit of trouble. Once you open them up, we'll take the head, we'll take the pincers, and it's also a good opportunity to see how the arm is attached. There's this yellow disc that is fit into the purple shoulder socket, and there's a screw that you can tighten. So that's actually how you'll adjust the tightness of the shoulders. Now, moving back over to Shrapnel A, who's going to be the recipient of all these great new parts, we've got to disassemble him exactly the same way. It's those 4 screws on the back. Thanks again to the designer, of course. We'll open up the clamshell. You see the remnants of his shoulders and also that tightening screw that's sticking through. We'll remove the pincers. We're going to remove the head. And now we're ready for some new transplantation. We'll start by bringing over the arms from Shrapnel C. And they fit okay. I'm not in love with the tension of the right arm here, so let's use the adjustment screw to fine tune that. Now I think that'll be a little bit better. Then we're going to fit the head into that slot where it goes. And this is the head from Shrapnel C just because the paint on the face looks a little bit fresher. The molding doesn't look any different to me at all. And then we'll get the pincers back in. The pincers do have some chrome wear, but they're still the best of the bunch that we're choosing from. Now we'll gently lay the chest down onto the rest of the upper body, snap things back into place, and then reinstall 4 screws. And as always, we need to check the joints. Let's make sure that the waist is working smoothly, make sure that the pincers are moving. This is the point where you'll find where you've cross-threaded something, so to speak, or whether there's a subtle mold variation that you just didn't account for, and things just don't fit. Thankfully, in this case, everything's fitting. It feels right. It looks right. So I'm pretty happy. Now we just got to move on to some cosmetics with the stickers. Now it's time for some stickers, and they've been sitting patiently on that parchment paper. We'll start with the ones labeled 5 and 6 that go on the waist. These are from Shrapnel B. They're in perfect condition. Just the glue has dried out a little bit on the back, so I'm going to give them a quick swipe. Then I'll use tweezers to get them in the general vicinity and slightly adjust the position. I use the rubber tip of my file, my modeling file, to tamp them down and get them down there if your thumb or your finger just can't quite reach. And this is kind of a recessed spot. And now we'll move on to those shoulder stickers. Those were labeled sticker 1 on the sheet. They'll be good enough. They survived the transplant. It's not quite perfect, but once you lay it down there, you'll barely notice. I'll just use that rubber tip to tamp them down into position, get them placed just right, and they're looking pretty good. This sharp corner, I actually use the sharp edge of my file very gently. I'm not trying to scratch anything, but just to get it into that corner. And then we'll move on to the knee stickers, which are labeled 3 and 4. These actually still had tacky 40-year-old glue on the back, so I have not given them a swipe. They're just going to go straight back on. And last but not least, it's time to apply this lovely Decepticon logo. Now, centering it is not a trivial thing because these were always cut kind of asymmetrically. There's always kind of a thick edge and a thin edge. You can see it right there on the screen. So I'm going to cheat it a little bit just so that it feels centered to me, although by someone's measure, it probably technically isn't, but I think it looks pretty good. And here's our survivor. It's Shrapnel A, looking pretty sharp. He's got fresh stickers, nicely chromed pincers, 2 arms, despite a little bit of a stress mark that I might try to deal with later. He's transforming really well. Thank you to those designers who gave me a way to use my screwdriver and take this toy apart. Thank you to Shrapnel B and Shrapnel C for donating your parts. We acknowledge your sacrifice. And if you like this sort of thing, I hope you'll take a look at some of the other videos on the channel. We definitely do a lot of repair techniques. We also talk about history and trivia, design details. Say hi in the comments. Let me know if you've done a project like this where you donated parts from one toy for the benefit of another. If you want to chip in to help me acquire more broken toys for a future project, there is a link for that in the description. As always, I hope you found this information useful, and we'll see you next time.